Before we wrap up today, sometimes it's the little things that make the biggest difference. We often focus on the big, bold features and strategies and forget about some of the simple little things. Guys, what's one known or little known tool or trick or strategy that might be really commonplace or simple for us, but it's often just completely forgotten or relatively unknown? I can go first because I always make you guys go first. I'll go first on this one. Um, I don't know if a lot of people know that you can create things like photo posts and quizzes and polls on YouTube. My unknown tool is a thing called YouTube's community tab. So we think of YouTube as this video platform where you put up videos and people leave comments, etc., and that's kind of the end of it. But this community tab can actually help pages become a bit more social. It opens a lot of doors for creators to be able to post, like when you post an image or a series of images on Instagram, for example, you can actually create the same post on your YouTube page and people will see it inside of their feed. And this is under the community tab. Now, part of the reason that not a lot of people know about this is because when it was first kind of rolled out, it only was originally available for creators with really large followings. I think at one time it was 10,000 subscribers or something like that. But in more recent times, it's actually open to anyone now. You just have to go into your advanced features on your YouTube channel and turn it on. And once you're able to do that, you're actually able to create all sorts of interesting content. I've seen a few creators put up polls like, give us feedback on what you want us to talk about next, and people can leave their feedback. You can go and look at the results, and then you can create a video that aligns with the feedback you're seeing from your users. We just started using it. I knew it existed, and it was just one more thing that I'd never gotten around to do on the Strong Coffee channel. But I've recently started to use it, and sure enough, you do get some analytics inside the analytics tab showing the number of impressions that your posts get. You can see which posts get the most. And you can set up polls and quizzes to make things a little bit more interactive. So if you do spend a lot of time on YouTube and creating content on YouTube, this community tab and community posts are just one more tool that you can use to help engage your audience. So cool, little, kind of relatively unknown, but something that can make a huge difference in the long run. Duncan, do you have any kind of cool, fun little, maybe they don't get used a whole lot or relatively unknown tool you can think about?
Sure. I've been using this for an upcoming trip. I'm going to Europe actually next week, but
Humble brag, Duncan. Humble brag.
humble
Duncan's
brag.
going to Europe.
But it's an old tool actually. It's been around for a while. You guys will probably have heard of it. But Google My Maps. I don't know if you have explored this. Where what you do is you basically like you type in like we're going to Florence. So I typed in Florence, and then I can just type in the chat at the top. I just like top sites in Florence, and then it'll just pin them on your little map immediately. Then you can check which ones you want. And then I did this for restaurants. I did this for the wine windows. Did this for some gelato shops. So and then I printed off the map. So now I have this map of all these places that we could potentially go to while we're in Florence. If it's lived on my phone, I could look at it digitally and see everything. But I'm kind of going back to that old school print because we got our printers connected. I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Wow.
But Google My Maps is actually kind of cool. Like it's not. I don't have to individually type in every location. I just type the theme of the thing I'm looking for, and it'll plot them on the map, and I can choose which ones I want to have on my final map. So I know it's old, but it's still very valid. Because you know what? I've been using ChatGPT to sort of give me itineraries of things to do. I would just go, we have 3 days in Florence. What are the top sites? Give me some restaurants. And how would you explore it? And it gives you basically a nice blog post type thing on what to do for each day. But you can't, at least I don't know how to get it so that it kind of like maps that journey on a Google map. There may be extensions that allow you to do that, but I couldn't quite figure it out in my short time looking. So I just went to Google My Maps, and then sure enough, you can kind of create those journeys relatively easily and map out and plot all of these places quite quickly. Anyways, that's one for me that I don't think it's really overly useful in the marketing space unless you're doing things like trying to, you're in tourism and you want to plot your city and the different tourist destinations that people can go to and make a printable PDF for it. You can also embed it on your website. So like there is valid use cases for it. And I think it's an often overlooked tool because it is so old, but I think it's still very powerful.
It's like Ian and I, old but still powerful, right?
Yeah.
And Duncan, what's crazy about that, Duncan? You know what I used this morning? Google My Maps, because I have a map that I've created. Wherever I go and speak somewhere, I put a little pin on the map, so I remember all the places I spoke. So this morning, got that pin going on Brooks, Alberta from yesterday. Nice. So I know all about that tool. Yeah, that was good timing, Duncan. And I hope you have a fantastic trip.
Thank you very much.
Ian, what about you? A little random tool or forgotten strategy or unknown strategy or tool? What can you think of?
Yeah, it's not really a tool as such, but you mentioned sort of forgotten strategies. And what I was going to say was just don't forget your marketing basics. No matter what you're doing, just remember the fundamentals. With all the new tools that are coming out on such a regular basis, and it only feels like it's getting faster, as people try to jump onto new platforms, it's easy to just throw out your marketing fundamentals and feel like you're starting from scratch on this new platform. What's everyone else doing? And but as they say, times change, tools change, people don't. And all the things that you know about your copywriting, your sales, everything like that, just don't forget that. And it can be easy to do when you feel like things are just getting so much faster and new tools are coming out all the time. So,
yeah. I mentioned this to somebody just the other day where we were talking about AI tools. And you're 100% right when you're starting to think about those marketing basics. When we were talking about AI tools, they were saying, well, what tools should I use and all this kind of stuff. And I said, don't start with the tool, start with the problem. Determine the problem you're trying to solve, then figure out which tool will solve that problem. If you simply go based on your tools first and then trying to wedge them into what you're doing, you're never going to get anywhere. So yeah, if you need to understand your marketing basics, your marketing fundamentals, identify the problem you're trying to solve, and then figure out the best tools for that.
Yeah,
that's such a simple one. But yeah, like every day you open your email or you open social and you see like all these new tools that came out, you can get stuck down a rabbit hole in no time trying to figure out, look how cool this is, how can I use it? And it's like, well, figure out the problems you have first and then see if that tool is relevant.